Hey, y'all, welcome back to Mountain Murders Offbeat. I'm Heather.
And I'm Dylan.
How are you, Dylan? It's been a wacky week.
I'm moist.
It's very wet here in North Carolina.
Yeah, so we had the remnants of that hurricane.
Fred.
It was it Fred?
Fred.
Fucking Fred.
Drop dead, Fred.
Yeah, so we had the remnants of that hurricane come across western North Carolina here. And we hope everyone's safe who's hearing this that's in the area because we have flooding.
It's fucking flooding. I'm talking like a damn river. I picked my daughter up from school and we were driving home today and I almost didn't make it here. There was like a creek flowing down a main thoroughfare that to our house.
Oh, and you look up and Brad Pitt's on a horse because the river's running through it.
The river was running through it, and honestly, if I hadn't been up in like kind of a a bigger like sports utility vehicle, if I'd been driving like a smaller car, like a little Fiat or Mini or something, I wouldn't have been able to get home.
You think you wouldn't have made it?
No, I don't, because the water was up at least 1.5 feet.
Jesus.
It was flooding into people's yards. Lawns were just totally destroyed. It's been nuts. And then we've been seeing like photos on social media, videos, people's houses getting just fucking washed away.
Yeah, so there's certainly going to be some severe loss of property in the area, which is very unfortunate. All we can hope now is that there is no loss of life along with that.
Yeah, that's what's really scary about this whole thing is I just worry about people that aren't able to get to higher ground in time. We've been getting emergency alerts on our phone all day. Warning folks, if you live below the river, you need to leave, evacuate. But some people, like, their roads are totally washed away and they can't evacuate.
Yeah, I mean, people go to either leave home or go home, and you just come to a huge washout. That's scary. And that's another thing about this COVID crap, which I'm not going to get into that, but the lingering effects of COVID, and I'm fearful that it's ramping up again. And I'm not going to argue why or whatever. It's just happening. And then you have another emergency happen. I mean, at what point are people just fatigued, mentally fatigued with all this?
Just gotta catch a break, man.
Jesus.
Yeah, it's been a rough year, and we haven't had severe flooding like this in the area since 2004. And I actually didn't live here the last time we had a major flood in this area.
Yeah,
but I remember, hearing about it.
That's when we had the back-to-back storms come across Florida and in the area. I think Ivan and somebody.
Ivan and Florence or I don't know.
Why is there never like a Hurricane Derek?
There will be one day, don't worry.
Well, what about a Hurricane Jeremy?
Is that Jeremy or Jeremy with an A?
It's Jeremy.
Jeremy.
God,
your country sometimes, honey.
Okay, so here we are, and serious events going on around here, and we hope everyone in the area is safe, and we hope everyone hearing this is safe no matter what's going on around you.
Yeah, wherever you are.
Oh my God, I want you guys to be so safe.
Oh, Dylan.
I love you.
Well, I thought this week, since we are getting washed away.
We're getting washed out.
Maybe we would take a break from our Offbeat Missing in the Park series and bring up some listener tales. We have a few folks who've reached out with some very zany stories, and I can't wait to share them.
Ooh, are they whimsical?
Well, I don't know about that.
Wait, what is whimsical? Is that like magical?
It's definitely you when you put on your sparkly glitter eyelashes and your little fairy wings.
Oh, you want me to do my taco twerk again, don't you?
Yeah, we won't talk about that.
Yeah, I was bringing it.
It was very exuberant earlier.
Magic Mike style, because I was thinking about going to Taco Bell, getting a couple of hearts.
Never seen anyone get so excited about like $1.50 taco.
You never seen a big man move like this.
Oh, I've seen you move quite a bit like that.
Baby.
Typically if there's like a pastry or a beer involved.
Okay, so given the serious matters going on around us, I think it's perfect that you're doing a listener episode, because I always enjoy hearing our listeners' stories. Some of them are funny, some of them are scary or whatever. But so you want to dive right in?
Well, August is listener month, Dylan, and every case we are covering for the month of August has been recommended by one of our patrons. We have a great case coming up this weekend. I'm looking forward to it. So why not honor our listeners with listener tales?
That's a great point. Yes, this week's story is one I don't know why more people haven't heard of it. It's just one of those cases when you talk about it, people's like, oh, what are you talking about? And it's a very wild and crazy story.
And somewhat in our backyard.
And
So
very,
that's kind of exciting.
very horrible.
All right, let's get into this. We have some great stories. Are you ready, Dylan?
Drag it across my face.
I was at a bar one time talking to a guy I just met. We were mid conversation when out of nowhere a girl walks up and puts her hand on her head. She says to the guy, "You're from Brownsville." The guy looked stupefied and said he was born there. She said it was weird because every once in a while she had these crazy flashes of information about strangers. It was really odd. The guy was blown away. I have to admit, I was kind of in awe. I don't usually subscribe to psychic abilities. Maybe the girl was a fake and she knew him or had some clue he was from there. It was a crazy experience. I think about it sometimes, and it's signed Dr. E.
Oh, wow. So you're just hanging out, chilling, and this woman has this moment in front of you. And I take it that they weren't near Brownsville. I mean, I take it was obvious that he was from Brownsville, if you will.
I guess so.
Right, it seems
we
so.
don't have more information with the story, but
Well, wow.
yeah, I mean, it seems like it was such an odd occurrence that it wasn't like this was the town over.
See, that's one of those things that if that happened to me and my friend or whatever, and I saw it happen and everyone's reaction, I would be like, what the fuck? What's going on? Thank you, Dr. E.
That's a pretty
Wow.
wild story.
I need to know what kind of doctor you are in case I need some elective surgeries.
Okay, are you ready for our second listener tale?
Yes.
Okay. Your listeners will probably think this is a bullshit story, but I have faith that Dylan will believe me 100%. LOL.
Okay.
Okay. They have faith in you, Dylan. When I was 12, I was playing outside on a really windy day. This blue flying thingy, the size of a water bottle, zooms into my yard and crashes into a spider web that's in a bush. Its wings were clear, but it was not a bird. It had a blue body, but was not an insect. It was wispy with long, skinny legs. The face was kind of human-like. Tangled in the web, the thing was freaking out, kicking its stringy legs in the branches. It was thrashing so hard I could barely get a good look at it. I just kept staring at it thinking, that's a fucking fairy. After a minute, I detached the thing from the web and it breaks free. As fast as it swooped in, the thing was gone. I know it was a fairy. When I tell friends this story, no one thinks it's real. I had to share it with your podcast because you were one of my favorites, Alexandra.
Oh my God. We have a fae sighting.
A fucking wispy blue fairy.
Holy cow.
How weird is that?
That is very, that's
I've
very
like
strange.
never heard anyone say they've seen a fairy before.
Yeah, not in that, not like that. I mean, just outright little fairy got caught up in front. You had the chance to really get a good look at it for the most part.
Well, what could it be? I mean, like, I don't know of any insect that's like wispy and blue.
No.
I mean, I'm no like insectologist.
Yeah, and it had like
come on.
a stylish over the shoulder little bag and stuff. You know, some great shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah, most insects don't have any fashion sense.
Little translucent wings.
Oh, well, thank you.
Sparkle in the sun.
These are great. These are the type of stories we needed right now.
Okay, next story, Dylan. I was sitting in my college dorm room when the temperature dropped suddenly. I switched off the AC on the thermostat, but it kept getting colder and colder. Finally, I was shivering. I grabbed a hoodie from the closet, then a jacket. I turned the heat on in the room. This was probably early April in Tennessee, so it wasn't even that cold outside. I was just about to go find the RA to put in a maintenance request when my roommate at the time walked in from class. She asked why there were so many police cars and an ambulance outside. I had no idea. Instead, I started complaining about the cold air that was somehow pouring in our room. Later that evening, when I was on my way to dinner, we passed some people from our floor who told us that a student died earlier on the lower level of our dorm building. Everyone in the building seemed to have the same experience with the cold. We all felt her death. I stayed in that same room for another year without ever having another cold snap.
Damn.
Wow.
Did they experience her energy leaving this plane?
They seem to feel like that's what happened.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Damn.
You know, I was an RA in a dorm when I was in college, and there was a student who passed away.
Really?
It was like an asthma attack, and she couldn't find her inhaler or something like that.
Well, that's really sad.
But then there were a lot of people who lived on that floor that would talk about the elevator, which the elevators would kind of open and close all the time on their own, but people would talk about the elevators opening and closing on that specific floor, like a whole lot after she passed away.
Yeah, they had some pretty good legends there where you went to college, didn't
Now,
they?
there's a
As far as
couple.
spirits go and such.
Yeah, there's a couple buildings that are supposedly haunted.
You have went over those before, somewhere in the archives.
Now, okay, our next story is, let's see, my story probably isn't nearly as scary as some of the others I've heard on mountain murders, but here goes. My friend and I used to love to go hang out in a cemetery near my house. I guess we were just weird kids. This was an older cemetery. Originally, it has been a family plot that turned into a regular cemetery with more people being buried there. It wasn't being used anymore, so there were no new graves. One day, we were wandering around when we found a headstone that looked new. All the others were old, some crumbling, and some were so decayed I couldn't read the names at all. This was odd. My friend was like, oh well, maybe a family bought like a new marker. This tombstone was a reddish colored marble which stood out from all the others. We continued on our trip, sitting down under a big tree. After about an hour, and yes, we were smoking cigarettes, not marijuana, hence one of the reasons I like to sneak off to the graveyard. When we had smoked about 2 or 3 cigarettes, we managed to sneak. I think they meant sneak, but they had typed snake. That we managed to
Ooh.
sneak from our parents. We decided to head home. We followed the same path out and passed right by where that new tombstone had been, but it wasn't there. My friend and I both stared at each other. What happened to the red marker? Feeling confused, we explored the area a bit further looking for the thing. There was no sign of it. We checked the entire cemetery on several visits looking for the red headstone, but we never saw it again. It's something I could just never explain.
What the hell?
It's signed GS.
Damn it, GS.
What the fuck?
That's really weird.
That's really weird.
And you were just smoking cigarettes and not really good weed.
They swear they're smoking cigarettes.
Okay.
Now that's weird, and the fact that you have like this shared experience with a friend.
Yeah.
Because sometimes when something happens to you, it's easy to question your sanity. Or am I like imagining this? Am I tired? Were those cigarettes really strong? What have you? But when you have a shared experience with another person that you can't explain,
Well, that makes it all the more real.
it does. And it also makes it weirder because then you're both really like, what the fuck?
What was
Right.
it? Is it GS?
GS, yeah.
Well, GS don't feel weird for hanging out in the cemetery. Me and Heather do it all the time.
It's very peaceful.
And we've had strange shared experiences. Was it spiritual or paranormal? I can't tell you. But it was weird, right? And that one event, I'm sure
Oh, yeah.
when we walked off that wall in the dark. And,
Oh, yeah. I think we've mentioned that before.
And
on the
we should
podcast,
have,
but maybe we have some new listeners who don't know that story.
Yeah.
We should tell them the story, Dylan.
well, so we're just kicking it around this cemetery and we're hearing strange noises, but you never know if that's faraway traffic or the wind blowing across a hole in a tree. I mean, you know.
Well, we did hear the one sound like something growling, and then we heard what sounded like a woman screaming, and we were both like, that doesn't sound
Yeah, and
normal.
chains rattling. So we're like, okay, so even if this is something, you know, our mind's playing tricks on us, we got kind of weirded out. We're like, let's be out. And so we're kicking it down through the cemetery, and about every 100 foot or so, it's like terraced. You know, the land drops 3 feet or so, and then typically that's where the road and path comes through. And so I was like, we need to be careful. You know, we don't walk off one of these little 3-foot walls. And we're booking it along
And
through there.
basically, as Dylan's saying, we don't want to walk off a wall. It was so dark, we literally walked off the wall
Yes.
and crashed down, probably 3 feet down?
3 feet. We were both ended up in prone positions on the asphalt road,
Basically, we busted our asses.
but we didn't because we didn't get hurt. We didn't get slammed. We didn't get the breath knocked out of us. Nobody twisted an ankle.
I mean, I fell and like hit my butt, but it wasn't like anything.
No, I almost felt like I was falling on a cushion of air.
It was so
Because we were
strange.
laughing the whole time we were falling. It's like, you know, we just did all this in slow motion.
And then I'm like, I'm falling and I can't get up.
So, and then we had a big street light up there on the hill that was blinking
it was like
Morse code.
at us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as soon as we got down to the end of the entrance to the cemetery, the light just stopped and went back normal.
It was weird.
Okay, so all that could be explained away logically, I'm sure. But when you have all that together and, again, a shared experience, maybe we're feeding off each other, who knows? It's just really weird. So anyway, cemeteries are fun.
Cemeteries are fun. And I love the old, I guess it was like a Victorian tradition where people would go picnic in the cemetery.
Yes.
And
yeah.
I think that's awesome. And sometimes I take my kids and we go have a picnic, like over by my grandparents, and just chill.
Well, I usually enjoy the energy of a cemetery.
Well, it's
I don't.
I love it because it's very quiet. It's very peaceful. It's actually
Yes.
one of the only places I can go where I feel like all of the noise of the world is just like canceled out.
Yeah, especially a big one,
And I need that sometimes.
and it's somber, and feel you feel
Well, it's beautifully landscaped.
right.
You know, you're surrounded by flowers. I love the headstones, the intricate markings, and the designs, and especially the older ones.
And
Because you have to think about like some of those headstones from like the 1800s, and that someone like handcrafted that shit, and how amazing and beautiful they are.
oh yeah, there's definitely art in a lot of the headstones, and just the general layout of the cemeteries. And also, I think we've talked about before. I strongly believe that land can absorb energy. Right? Is that paranormal? Blah, blah, I don't know, but I think it's definitely true when you go to a place where some really huge tragic event
Like
happened.
Gettysburg.
Gettysburg, some of the other
It has some of the most like solemn, just tragic feeling energy I've ever experienced.
Right.
Is at Gettysburg.
these abandoned asylums, these abandoned prisons, and I also think that the okay, so you have all the dead bodies, and it could be spirits, and there's that element, but also all the people that come there with their somber, grieving feelings and their sadness. I think possibly gets absorbed into the ground. Is that weird?
So do you feel like a sad experience when you're in
No,
the cemetery?
just somber
Oh,
is what typically how I think I feel in cemeteries.
that's interesting. I don't really feel that way at all.
Well, I mean, maybe it's peaceful.
Yeah, I feel very like at peace when I'm there.
Okay,
It's kind of nice.
I almost feel like this reverence.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm trying to sound smart right
Well,
now.
plus when I go hang out, and because I like to go hang out where my grandparents are buried, and chat.
Right.
And that makes me feel good because I don't really go there and feel sad. I like go there and think about all the awesome stuff we used to do and how much I love them.
Well,
and,
there's that energy too.
And I don't know. I feel good because I feel like I'm still able to go visit my grandma and talk to her.
Okay, so that's a great story.
Yeah, that was an interesting story.
You have another one?
I sure do. I think I have two more, Dylan. I don't have a ton this week, or because we haven't actually had a listener story episode since June.
Right.
So these are the ones I've collected since June, and we've had some folks write in, but it's not like it's been overwhelming. So we would love to hear your listener story. You can always email us, mountainmurderspodcast@gmail.com.
You can do that if you want.
We like to hear your stories.
There ain't nobody stopping it.
I mean, we take all kinds of stories here.
There ain't nothing but air and opportunity between you and us and your listener story.
Yep.
Do it.
Make Dylan's day.
Let me see it.
Okay.
Ooh,
Next story.
I want to see it.
Are you ready?
I want to hear.
You want to see everything. You're a pervert.
I like to sit and
I
look.
don't feel like your mama raised this kind of man. I told you this earlier. I was like, I don't think your mom raised this guy. You need to be respectful.
My mom was an incredible woman, and I feel like she raised a pretty incredible guy, I must say.
Okay.
Thanks, Mom.
Are you ready?
Yeah, I think so. Damn, I feel sassy.
Deflate your ego, bro.
Holy shit, it's not my ego.
I know something's got you
Maybe it was that 18
pumped up today.
Maybe it was that 18-hour shift last night.
Maybe it was that Taco Bell you ate for dinner.
Oh my God.
I'm really glad I didn't eat the Taco Bell.
I'm always regret Taco Bell. Never fails. But it's so good.
Yeah, it's one of those foods that like while you're eating it, it's great, but then like 5 minutes later, I'm immediately like, wow.
And I always soak
do
everything in sour cream and jalapenos.
Well, I'm trying to get back into exercising and get healthy, and I've totally spent like the last 18 months just being a fucking lazy piece of shit, right?
I'm blaming COVID.
No more fast food.
No more blaming the
I
epidemic.
can't.
We've got to stop this. We've got to
eat
stop the
Taco
madness.
Bell with you anymore, don't we?
I've got to stop that stuff, guy. For real.
Yeah, I know. I bought you some apples. You haven't even touched them.
I took one to work last night.
Yeah, but you didn't eat it. I saw it in your lunchbox.
God
Are
damn
you?
it.
Yeah, you don't
Excuse
sneak
me.
anything by me.
I didn't mean to say GD. I know that's an offensive word to some.
Are you ready?
I'll say fuck.
I'm a retired police officer. Okay, this is probably going to be a good one, right?
Yes, the hair went up on the back of my neck. I just knew it was going to be good.
One night I got a call about some banging noises in the wall of a bathroom in a crappy apartment building.
No, see, this is already weird.
At first, I thought this was going to be people high on drugs. When I got there, the callers were a couple, a husband and wife, with a young son. They told me it had been going on for a few hours. By now it's late. Husband and wife have to work in the morning, and the kid has school. I can understand the annoyance. Another patrol car from my shift arrives right after me. We can hear the bangs. It's not continuous, but when it happens, it's like 5 in a row. It sounded like someone banging their fist against the wall. It was loud and forceful. If I recall, the couple claimed it had actually made a few things fall off their bathroom shelf. I go over to the next door neighbor's apartment and knock on the door. The guy is half asleep when he opened the door, but was nice enough and let me inside. He said he'd heard the banging earlier as well, but managed to fall asleep in spite of this. I can hear the banging inside his unit, but it's not nearly as loud. There's clearly nobody in this unit making the noise. I determined that it can't be an animal because of the very forceful banging. By this time, everyone on the hall is out trying to figure out what we're doing in there. I call the fire department in. The people who live in the apartments say they've heard the banging before. A few people start saying it's a ghost. The husband says he's never heard it go on as long as it has that particular night. As a joke, one of the neighbors says, "Knock 3 times if you're a ghost." And I kid you not, there were 3 sharp bangs.
Holy shit.
When that happens, everybody was like, "Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no."
Oh, hell no.
I'm walking around the hall, up and down, trying to figure out what is going on. There's nothing on the other side of the apartments but about like balconies. I even get the guy who came on the call with me to go out there and see if somebody is outside making these noises somehow. There's nothing. The little boy then tells me that when he gets near the bathroom, the banging gets louder. So the firemen arrive and think it's some kind of prank. They soon realize there's no logical explanation for the banging either. The firemen determine it's not coming from pipes or anything. They decide to cut a small hole in the wall, thinking maybe it is an animal or a person trapped. Guess what they find?
A squirrel with jacked up biceps who's pissed off.
How did you know?
Oh my God.
No, they don't find a fucking thing, Dylan. They find nothing.
So
Nada.
you have this entire group of different people, not just residents, police, firemen, probably spectators from next door at this point. And they're all experiencing this and trying to figure it out together.
Yeah.
What a very strange situation.
There's nothing in the wall. They shine lights inside, don't see anything. One of the guys pulls out a heat sensor, and one part of the wall appeared to be hotter than the rest. However, it was hollow inside. There's really nothing we can do at this point. Long story short, I ended up back at the building on a separate criminal matter a few months later. As I'm leaving the building, I bump into the husband. I ask if he had any other follow-up noises or if they ever figured out what was going on. He told me that his wife hired a medium or someone of that sort to do their thing. He said while the person was there, the knocking happened again very intensely for about a minute, then stopped. They'd not had anything else happen since. I don't know if this was supernatural, but the guy seemed genuine. I was glad to hear the problem had stopped. It was honestly one of the most bizarre experiences I ever had working in law enforcement.
Jeez. Is there a name?
No, they didn't leave a name.
Oh, Officer Awesome is what I'm going to go with.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you,
Well,
Officer.
sometimes people don't include their names in the email or
No,
the
I
message.
understand.
And so I'm like, well, they might not want me to read it, so.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
I'll call him John. Or her.
Isn't that...
I'll call her Olivia.
I just think how wild. I mean, you're even going as
Yeah.
far as cutting a small hole in the wall and
Yeah.
there's nothing. It's just hollow.
Well,
But that's like where you're hearing the banging coming from. But on the other side of that wall, it sounds like there was balcony.
I must say
Or that it was like, that wall backed up to like another apartment and then outside.
that this officer was intent on solving these people's problem. He seemed very engaged. He seemed like a very professional officer. Because I'm sorry.
I love that this is your professional assessment, Dylan.
Yeah, you seem like a very professional policeman. No, but I'm afraid if I called the local law enforcement, they would not go this far, is what I'm saying. And it seems like at some point, they became intrigued as to what's actually going on and brought the fire department. They're cutting holes, looking in the walls, testing the pipes. You'd be surprised about how much pressures and pipes and stuff could actually make a lot of noise and move around. But yeah, I think that's amazing that they actually tried this hard to resolve the issue. And that's just crazy. So you're talking 10, 20, who knows how many people having this experience at the same time. It's very strange.
Okay. That is very strange.
Do you agree?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about the overall how wild and crazy, and where do you even find a medium?
Well, and then if it was a medium, it sounded like they cleanse the property there and resolve their issue. So what do you do?
I'm just curious where you find a medium.
Oh, I'm sure you can find one on the internet, especially.
Yeah, but do you think we have one locally?
I'm sure there's somebody around here named
Esmeralda or something?
Esmeralda
I'm
that
just kidding. I
claims.
really love that name.
Yeah, she's like the old gypsy lady that lives under the bridge. Is that offensive?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm not cutting that out. I'm going to let everybody know you're a piece of shit.
why is that offensive? Because I think they're magical. I think gypsy women are magical. Is that offensive?
Yes. So, well, I want a medium to come here and exercise our house.
You get a medium. I'm gonna get a large.
Wish I could fit into a medium. It's been a few years since that
Oh
happened.
shit!
No, but we have a ghost, and our cats are afraid of him, and there's just like weird stuff that happens sometimes.
Well, there's certainly an energy here.
So
I don't know exactly what it is.
I wouldn't mind to have a medium come and like
And
shoo the ghost into the next world or whatever.
we cannot get Kitty to come inside.
No.
And it's not only she, just happens to get back out when she gets the chance. She's dying. She looks at you, pleading with her little eyes, and keeps like looking over her little kitty shoulder, little furry shoulder, like it's coming. Please let me out the door.
I don't think the ghost likes cats.
It's dude. It's weird.
I don't think the ghost likes me either. No, actually, I think the ghost is a pervert because every time I'm in the bathroom in the shower, the fucking ghost comes in the bathroom. I've talked about this before on the podcast, but it's true.
She hollers, "What do you want?" And I'm like, "Because our house is that little, guys." Folks.
So yes, please
and I'm like,
sign up on Patreon so we can move to a bigger house.
And I'll be like in the living room or they're just past the bathroom. I'm like, what are you talking about? And she's like, did you not just come in? And like the door will be ajar. It's weird. I'm like, no. And you feel this presence in our huge bathroom.
Yeah, no, I really do. I feel like someone is in there with me. I feel like you've come in there to like grab dental floss or something.
Yeah, I'm gonna grab something.
Yeah, grab that fucking ghost and wring his neck and be like, get out of here, bro. You're a pervert.
I'm going to soap up
I had to put a ring on it to get to see her naked.
I'm going to soap up that ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your own, please. After that Taco Bell, you'll need to.
Scrub your fingernails.
Yeah.
Does that sound like a service?
Will you scrub my fingernails?
When I felt
one of those little brushes?
What was that service I said I should open the other day? I always ask you, can I make money with that? You think I could give him massages? Because I have strong little hands, right? You say they're amazing.
A massage therapist.
I tell you, I can't because when I massage you, I get sexually aroused, and I'm not sure if that would be true with other people, and that would be weird, right? Do you think masseuses have? Is that how you say it?
They're called massage therapists.
It's masseurs. Is that the plural? Like fish and fish? Okay, I'm confusing myself. Do you think they have to overcome that?
I don't know, Dylan.
When they start training,
this is a good question that you should ask next time you go in for your hot stone massage.
So anyone out there who is in this profession, I respect it. It's an amazing profession. Do you have to overcome being sexually aroused when you rub people if you have that connection in your mind already?
Dude, okay. So
while you're being trained.
I have to tell you this. When I was news director for the radio station where I worked for a while, right, a few years, there was a case of a male massage therapist, and he was like a fill-in at this spa that was like a local spa. And he didn't, he wasn't like a full-time. He would be called in like, if somebody was out of town or whatever, fill-in kind of thing. And he was an older gentleman. I want to say he was like in his 50s or 60s.
Oh, my God.
And I only bring this up because the young lady that was having the massage was like a college student, and she was young, like 18, 19. So, I consider her very young. That's a kid. So if you're 50 or 60, you're a lot older than her. You're old enough to be her daddy, right?
Old enough to be her grandfather.
Yeah, well, there's
Let's be honest.
So she's getting a massage, and this guy, I guess, starts getting all excited and like assaults her.
No way.
Like touches her inappropriately. Well, she's freaked out. He ends up getting in trouble, going to jail, like gets fired. They revoke his like state licensure, all this stuff. And he said, well, I thought she was indicating to me that she like wanted me to do it.
What the hell?
And the girl's like, no, I was just enjoying my massage because I had a lot of tension and it felt good. Like I wasn't.
You was doing your job.
I wasn't giving you the look.
So just because she's like, oh, or something like that. I mean, it's not like she's laying there. Oh yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Even if she was,
that is inappropriate.
Has every right to give you an oh yeah without you trying to get all up in it, dude.
Isn't that weird?
What's up, creepy
That was
grandpa?
kind of like, I remember that might have been like one of the last crime stories I covered there. That was just like, what the fuck?
Well, that's scary. I mean, we're, kind of kidding around. That's very
Well,
scary.
you're very vulnerable.
Yes.
I know a lot of folks who won't, even though they are like desperately need a massage, won't go have one because they feel like they're so vulnerable. I mean, you're usually naked, half naked.
Basically naked.
Covered with a sheet. You're with this person you probably don't know. They could be a complete stranger. You have to kind of feel some comfort in your own skin, I think, to put yourself in that position because you are very vulnerable.
You're describing me.
And then on top of it, you get a massage therapist who's like creepy.
Right.
Like, that's not cool.
It's not cool. It's disgusting, and it's a serious violation of someone's space.
I have no idea how we got here. You've fucked up this conversation to the point I don't even know where we were before. But I have another listener story, so can we get back to it?
You just got derailed.
I'm gonna find it like some sort of audio.
Wah, wah,
Yeah,
wah.
I'm gonna find some audio to plug in every fucking time you do. That'll be like zoo radio. Like,
Baby, please, this is my dream this whole time for these years now.
you want sound effects?
Can I please have a soundboard not like an old 80s, rock and roll DJ soundboard?
Yeah, like the zoo radio. where
Yes.
It's like, oh, it's a jungle in here, and you've got like their lion roaring. Yes.
Yes. Can I do that on the funny episodes?
You can be like a new Wolfman Jack. Or
Okay. And get ready for the power hour. Yeah, get ready to be rode home.
something. Whoa. Okay.
Ooh, on the edge.
On the afternoon drive time?
101.5 The Edge.
The edge.
Did I just create a new radio station?
I think you branded it and everything. Are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay. Me and my dad was on the lake fishing a few years ago, just before dark. We were in a John boat using a trolling motor to creep along a little quiet holler. Oh, I love that they use the word holler.
I love hollers.
There was a few down trees sticking up from the green water, so we made our way over hoping to catch a few crappie. That is how you say it, right? I've heard people say crappie, and I've heard people call it crappie.
Yeah, it's crappy.
That's what I
It's
thought.
crappe. It's crappe, actually. The fish are from France.
Yeah.
Yeah, give me a break. It's crappy.
Okay, so they're hoping they're going to catch a few crappie. As we sat on the boat, it was pretty quiet. Then we heard a rustling up on the bank. My dad turned to me with this look on his face of, what is that? I shrugged my shoulders at him. Then we glanced back up the bank, and staring back at us was a hairy wild man creature that I have to call a Bigfoot.
No shit.
We were both stunned. Then, without warning, the thing let out this awful growling sound. My dad about fell off his bench, reaching back to turn on the motor and get us out of there. I jumped up scared to death. The boat starts rocking back and forth with us moving around so much.
Because they're like trying to run while they're in the
Like
boat.
a little tiny jump.
Yeah.
I mean, I can just picture this, right?
Well, no, yeah, John, a little, if you've seen this boat, if you're familiar, it's not a craft that you escape agilely.
It is basically like a step up from like a canoe.
It's like
or like a paddle boat.
No, it is.
I mean,
it is the moped for
they're
the
like
water.
little tin aluminum boats.
You move slow.
2 little bench seats. Usually there might be like a captain's chair type of
Right.
seat, but probably not.
Yes.
Maybe 2 people can fit in it.
So
maybe
they're trying
3.
their best to escape in the John boat.
Dad got the motor cranked up, and we hightailed it away from that holler. My dad was so afraid of what he saw, he let his pole fall into the lake. Now, that's when you know you're scared, right?
Well, shit, yeah. A fisherman lets his pole go in the drink.
We didn't care at that point. By the time we got back to the truck, my dad made me promise not to say anything to anybody. He was afraid everyone would think he was nuts. I tried telling him that made us both nuts. Since then, we've shared our story with family and a few friends. It changed the way I viewed the outdoors. I've never seen anything that even comes close to the day we saw the thing in the woods. And
Damn.
this is signed Jason.
Damn it, Jason. Man. I'm sorry. See, our listeners always come through. Right? We get a little taste of the
I
weird.
wish I knew where they were from. I wish I knew, like, where were you guys when this happened? Maybe you can write me back and let me know.
We get a little taste of the weird, a little taste of the possibly paranormal, and a cryptid. Boom. Hitting all the spots. Yeah. All I need now is a listener story about
Satan!
Thank you.
Right?
Yes, you just took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sad I've never seen a Bigfoot. I feel like I need to see a cryptid.
You know,
I want to see a hairy wild man in the woods.
I've seen some really huge, strange insects, but I think just the insect world's strange, and that was just foreign to me. I see some really weird ones there. One time I seen this creature. It was, it must have been 7 inches long. It looked like a dragonfly, but not really, like scarier and bigger around. And it was all gnarly and had like mandibles and little arms, and it was fucking weird, dude. And it flew.
Were you using drugs?
No.
Is this like when you
Well,
were in
no.
your,
Well, I was using drugs, but I was
is this like in your early 20s?
I was totally sober at that moment.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because one of my kids found it. And
Well, what was it?
by drugs, I meant I was smoking weed. Guys, calm down.
Yeah, okay. What was it? Do you know?
Never could identify it. Tried my best. Even went, tried to look it up. Tried to take pictures. Never could identify it.
It was some weird, scary bug.
Yes, and it was just dead on the front porch.
Was it blue? Did it have wispy
No.
legs?
That was one of them ugly fairies.
It was an ugly fairy.
Oh my God, I forgot about the fae. Yeah, so now we're getting into legend. I don't even know what category that is. Legendary or, we're up there with the unicorns, leprechauns, and faes, right?
I'm curious where this person, was it Alexandra that saw the fairy or thinks she saw the fairy? I wonder where she lives, because the only stories I've ever heard of fairies are from like Ireland.
Ireland,
I was
Scotland,
gonna say,
like
aren't
that.
there like Irish fae?
The
Isn't
hill
that, like, a
people and
thing?
things like that. The little people. Yes, that's how gnomes, right? That's what I was actually in my mind thinking about that very thing. And I found this interesting. So I heard this theory the other day that there was there are different classes of humans, and at some point, whoever the powers that be decided you're just going to be like regular human like us is all that is acceptable. And if you have long hair, sharp teeth, or a giant, or extremely
You
little,
need not apply if you have long hair.
yeah, at some point they were
Because there's
back.
signs everywhere, and long-haired freaky people need not apply.
So I jumped up on a fence. I said, what gives you the right? Because I want to go to the show tonight.
Isn't that how it goes?
That's
not how it goes.
I think that was like 50% of the lyrics
No.
you just spouted were correct.
Signs everywhere, signs.
And you know, right now with this employment crisis, I bet they are totally willing to hire as many long-haired freaky people that are gonna apply.
You just came up with an incredible TikTok. Anybody out there, a TikTok creator, take this, run with it. Play that song in the background. Take different pictures of help wanted signs all around your area and put a collage together.
Oh damn!
You're welcome, viral video.
$1 million idea, Dylan.
Boom. Gosh. Yeah, so no, at some point, those other kinds of humans, and they were just other kinds of humans. They weren't extraterrestrial or interdimensional, none of that. And they were just killed out. And so we have some evidence of that with the giant lore, right?
Well, yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, there's even it's in the Bible, right?
Oh, God, what is it? The
The
Nephanor? God,
See,
dude.
now that you ask me, I can't think of it.
Those were actually...
Is it in the book of Enoch or something?
Yes,
Like in the Gnostic Gospels?
It was the humans that were bred with fallen angels, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And created this race of giants. And then, of course, you have the Goliath and all that. And
the Nephilim.
The Nephilim. Okay.
Yeah, so they're mentioned in
Right.
the Hebrew Bible. They were large and strong, and the word Nephilim is loosely translated as giants in some Bibles, but it's left untranslated in others.
Okay. And then in our modern day, we have examples of the last of their bloodlines, right? Andre the Giant, Yao Ming, the basketball player from China.
Oh, you think so?
Very well. Look up Guinness Books, tallest woman and man.
Are you saying that I'm descended from like gnomes? Because you were always joking and making fun of me for being very, very short.
I wasn't going to bring that up.
And I think I'm a perfectly normal sized adult person.
It's not true.
But you like to tease me because I can't reach things that are even on like the lowest shelf in the kitchen cabinet. So are you saying that like maybe I came from gnomes in Ireland? I mean, my people are from that area.
Yeah,
My whole family were all very short people.
it's true.
We're all like 5'3" and under. So
You're always looking up.
yeah, we are.
Okay.
You know what they say though? The shorter the woman, the closer to hell.
I think just you say that.
Maybe. And then I hiss at you and then like run at you like a demon and you're like,
Oh, yeah,
and-
all close to the ground with a low center of gravity. Fucking weird, dude. Okay, so thanks for those. You want to tell anyone about Mount Murder news of any type?
Well, we have our live show coming up September 24th in Sylvan, North Carolina. Tickets are available via Facebook. You can find our event on the Facebook page if you just search Mountain Murders. Of course, a lot of our listeners follow us on Instagram. If you're not following us on Insta, you should definitely give us a click, follow. In the bio on Instagram, we have a link to tickets, and we're selling those through brownpapertickets.com. So I'm sure if you typed in like brown paper tickets, Mountain Murders, the link would pull right up.
Everything she just said was 100% accurate.
And the venue, as far as I know, the show will go on. It hasn't been canceled, anything like that. So make sure you get your tickets. The venue does have a certain seating capacity. So you want to make sure that you go ahead and get those tickets now before they sell out.
Yes, we can't wait to have fun. Hopefully everything works out fine. And we cannot wait to meet some of y'all.
And if you're feeling froggy and you're looking for some extra content, check out my brand new solo podcast, Dancing with Myself.
I have to say, so this is Heather delves into 80 nostalgia.
1980s obsession.
Yes, in her solo project. And I must say, they're just like little snack size bits.
You know
right?
what, Dylan? I decided to format that podcast in particular somewhere between maybe 8 to 12 minutes because I thought about people driving, like their little commute to work, right? We live in a small town commute to work. Give you a little 10, 12-minute podcast. Just enough time you can listen to it when you get in the car, and it'll cut off right when you pull in the office.
Dude, I think that genre of podcasts, these little snack size bits, is underrated, and because I really do think it's media that long form media you consume, and yes, I love my true crime and my serious and super detail filled stuff and my entertaining podcast, but sometimes you're just going in the grocery store and out, or you're just running up the road to grab some gas or whatever's happening, taking a quick poo. And you have this little bit of segment of fun. And Heather's doing a great job, and I hope everyone will give it a try.
Oh, thanks.
If you were born in the 80s, you would definitely...
Or 70s. If you're Gen X,
yes,
you remember any parts of the 80s. This is going
Right.
to take you back.
Well, yeah, sure. If you would just remember the 80s.
It's kind of like a history podcast, if you really think about it.
It takes you back, and I think it's great.
I talk about everything on this 80s podcast. We're talking movies, pop culture, sports, historic events, politicians, scandals, you name it. If it happened in the 80s, I'm going to cover it.
What about this dick? You talk about that.
That was born in 79 or 78.
78.
Right? So you're not even you're not even a product of the 80s. I was born in 1980.
What are you
Dylan.
talking about? I'm not a product of the 80s, bro.
Well, I'm just saying you came from the 70s, so we're not going to talk about your dick. And I think our listeners are probably tired of listening to you talk about your dick, so maybe you should just shut up.
I'm empowering limp penises. We're taking this world back.
What?
What?
Huh?
Mr. Softy? Don't you remember what I was talking about? I don't think there's enough credit given to soft penises because they exist in the world for way more, a way larger amount of time than the hard ones.
I have no idea
I'm just saying.
what you're doing right now. Just stop.
I'm taking it back.
Okay, Dylan, I have a great idea. Since you love to talk about your penis so much, why don't we get you a solo podcast and it can be like Dylan and his dick or something like that. And you can just talk about your dick. And so then the few people who want to hear, because I'm sure it's not many out there. I know I sure don't care about
I bet there's more than you think.
They can listen to you talk about it.
Now I'm going to call it this dick.
Okay.
Okay.
You're cut off. I'm 86ing you. You're fired.
Okay,
no more
anyway.
podcast with you.
In all seriousness, Dancing with Myself, give it a try.
Yeah, you can find it across all platforms, wherever you listen to podcasts, all the same places you find Mountain Murders. You can find Dancing with Myself. Apple, Spreaker, Spotify, YouTube, blah, 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 blah.
And I must say this is true. I ain't lying. We're going to bring back Shit Crazy, our conspiracy theory podcast where we have loads of fun talking about the weird, the improbable, and the totally nuts.
Yeah, we're going to get back to that. We just took a break because of summer and crazy schedules and all that, but we'll be getting back to recording that show. And of course, Sunday, if you stick around after listening to Dylan talk about his dick, you haven't turned the thing off.
It's a great segue.
We are going to have a great case coming your way. Again, it was suggested by a patron. All the cases this month are going to be covered, have been suggested by patrons, and all of our content on Patreon. I can't even get it out.
It's called Patreon.
You got me so befuddled, right?
Hey.
Discombobulated.
You know what it is. She's thinking about it, ain't she, y'all?
No, I'm thinking about all the ways in which I can mountain murder you, Dylan. Yeah, so everything's going to be all about the patrons this month. So coming up Sunday, great episode, case you may not be familiar with. So you're definitely going to want to check that out. I am going to take Dylan in here and put him back in his cage. Clearly, he's not ready for public consumption. So say goodbye to the listeners, Dylan.
Bye, listeners.